Dina, it's a real pleasure to have you here with us to talk about the Sustainability Pavilion at the Expo 2020, which is going to open this year in October, delayed, of course, by COVID. Dina, that is, I think, possibly the most extraordinary photograph I've ever seen of trees. Do you want to just explain to the people viewing this photograph for the first time what these trees are? Because they are truly extraordinary things.
Yes, thank you, Harold. I mean, I cannot tell you how spectacular this building is. It genuinely is my favorite pavilion at the Expo site. And it's a permanent structure that will stay long after Expo closes its doors. It will become a children's science museum. And it's designed in such a way that hopefully after Expo closes its doors, the whole building will be net zero. So those images you see on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen are energy trees, and the whole canopy of the pavilion are equipped with photovoltaic panels, and with the energy trees and the photovoltaic panels, they provide the majority of the energy for the building. But that's not just the only feature of this very iconic building.
Dina, before we leave the trees, so what I understand is that each of these is a tree, and what you've done is, or the engineers have done, is to build the solar panels on the top of these pillars. So they are like 21st or 22nd century trees, aren't they?
Absolutely.
In that sense that they're absorbing energy from the sun, turning it into something which is useful for us as a species.
Absolutely. And those energy trees are inspired by the UAE's tree, the GAF tree. And that's the inspiration behind the tree. But they also move with the movement of the sun to maximize the amount of energy that they take in from the sun.
And were these developed specially for the Expo, or is this technology that you've been able to bring into the Expo from elsewhere?
No, they were developed specifically for the Expo. The whole design itself was developed specifically for the Expo, and the energy trees are just one example of this beautiful master plan of the sustainability district.
Dina, I know you want to get on to tell us about the inside of the building, but just to delay us slightly, what seems to me to be really exciting about this is that you could imagine setting up an energy tree almost anywhere in the world to capture energy from the sun as an energy tree, and to have a much more distributed system of solar energy, rather than thinking everything has to be in big solar farms and big solar parks, that these can actually be built next door to a number of houses or next door to a pavilion or whatever to provide the energy for that building. So you don't get the loss in transmission, which is one of the big problems about moving electricity over long distances.
Absolutely. I think distributed energy versus, as you said, having one area and dispersing the energy outwards is the way to go. And we've seen that again and again and again. And this is just one example of how this can be done in a way that not just creates additional energy, because if as I mentioned before, the whole canopy is equipped with photovoltaics, but the energy trees add that additional value to the requirements of the energy that is used inside the pavilion. The beautiful part about all of this is that inside the pavilion, you can see the visualization of this as well. We worked very closely with our commercial partner Siemens to create a way where we can capture this data in a smart, efficient manner and visualize it. So you can see the amount of energy that this building and the energy trees are generating for the pavilion throughout the day. And I think that visualization to me is quite not just a feature for our visitors, but it gives us the capabilities to also predict what our energy use is going to be like in the future. So the predictability of that is very important. So MindSphere is this program that brings our energy, water, waste, and emissions all into this visual capability. And that's, to me, that's the second foundation of having a smart city, which I consider Expo 2020 to be. It's a smart city.
Well, let me do the promotion for you then, Dina, before we get to the end of this. I mean, it just seems to me that the more people who actually see the opportunity that this expo creates, and what is wonderful is it clearly has within it small scale examples which people could aspire to emulate, as well as the very big buildings which very few people will be able to emulate. And those trees, it seems to me, are a classic example of that. This is something which someone who comes to the expo and sees it could take away as an idea that they could implement. Implementing the whole expo sustainability pavilion is a bigger challenge, but those trees are a classic example of something that we should see replicated around the world.
Absolutely. So the actual building itself, or the sustainability building itself, has about 4,912 photovoltaic panels on it. And that's a 130-meter wide canopy. With the addition to that is the 18 energy trees in the landscape. And the total that these, energy trees do provide, as well as, of course, the canopy, is astounding. The total energy is astounding. And as I said, during the event, why it will not be considered net zero is because we will have an additional number of visitors and there would be more foot traffic. So conservatively, we know that post Expo, the building will be net zero. Right,
I get that.
Yeah.
So go on, whet my appetite with what I will see when I really am hoping to come out and see this in the autumn. What am I going to see when I walk into the sustainability pavilion?
So we have a wonderful team who have curated an amazing journey that helps inspire people to do the right thing. And that's the best that I can put it. I can explain it in words, and I will, but you have to come and see it. And I encourage all of the viewers to come and see this amazing building, but also to take actions. So the building, the programming of this building, or the curation, takes you through two journeys. One of them is under the ocean, and one of them is under the sea. But as you walk through the landscape, you're going to see the fauna and flora of the region. You're going to see the animals and the footprints that they left behind as you walk through what we call the wadi, which is a dry riverbed. And as you go in through the building, you start taking either a journey of under the ocean or a journey of under the sea. If you take the under the ocean journey, you will see the beauty of what's under the ocean, and it takes you through this beautiful journey of corals, and you hear the whale sounds, and you understand that there's a whole entire world under there that we basically, as humans above the ocean, know very little about. So it brings you closer to that. Then you go through what we call the hall of consumption, and the hall of consumption shows you the human impact, looks at single-use plastic, and in it you see the different things that we're bringing into the ocean. There are plastic bags around you flying, and that looks at our consumerism. And the reason we're putting such a jarring message is to say, look, we have all of this beauty, and this is how we're treating it. But it's not all gloom and doom, because as we walk out of that hall, we start looking at what us as humans, and I'm not telling the whole journey, but I'm giving you a snippet of it. At the end of that journey, you see what humans can do to positively impact our oceans or our planet in general. And it's things like the way that they repurpose and reuse, the way that they can use water energy instead of using instead of consuming, you know, from generators and big bulky electricity plants. And so you don't just see the bad, and it's not all gloom and doom, but you also see the good that we can do. And when you come out of this journey, what we're hoping for is our visitors to be inspired to do better for the planet. And that's the whole goal of the Sustainability Pavilion. Under the forest, it shows you the World Wide Web of how the wood wide web of how the trees talk to each other through the roots. So they grow towards the nutrients, and they tell each other, you know, if you spread your roots this way, there are more nutrients there. You look at how, you know, mushrooms thrive and how that affects the roots, and you see the beauty of what's under the earth, and the capability of the little insects and animals that live under there. And again, you go through another consumption hall that looks at the way we consume as humans. And what I mean by that, it's not just the plastic and the debris, but fast fashion is an example of that. You know, you go and buy things off the rack quickly, and then, you know, 2 days later you don't want to wear it anymore and you throw it. And the second largest polluting factor second largest polluter on the planet is actually fashion. So we're bringing light to these things that you don't necessarily think about on a day-to-day basis. And the idea is to inspire, not just through the architecture, but through the curation of that pavilion. And I'm not even giving it justice. The team that actually worked on this will probably give it a lot more justice than I do.
Dina, let me just say what I've understood from what you're saying.
Yeah.
It sounds to me as though the experience of visiting the pavilion with this enormous, this absolutely gobsmacking idea of the energy trees. But when you enter into the pavilion, you're essentially going on an educational journey. Here is the beauty of the earth as it is, if it's unmolested, unpolluted by us. This is what we've done to it, with all the horror of that. And then it's about what we could do to recoup some of that loss and to bring it back to a more sustainable future for our species. Is that so? Really, to understand it as an educational journey designed to make change in the minds of those people who come through that exhibition, that is the right way to understand it.
Exactly. And it's for the old and the young. It's not designed to put it in your face, you know, you're always wrong, you're always wrong. No, it's designed to inspire. And the goal here is to inspire change and to work together, to collaborate on change, and to say to each other, I mean, can you imagine, I mean, the number of people that will be coming through this pavilion? And if we can inspire a small percentage to make a change, then we've done something. We had our pavilion's premiere, so we opened up the Sustainability Pavilion for 3 months. And the reason we did that is because we wanted to test out our operations. And in doing so, we ran some surveys. 96% of the visitors that came through, and that's about 100,000 visitors, by the way, that came through during those 3 months, said that they're inspired to do something. And that's a big deal. That's a big impact that we created only within that short period of time and only with one pavilion. So it tells you the enormity of what we're trying to do here.
I'm really pleased that we're recording this together on Earth Day. It seems to me to be the day to be talking about the future of our planet. Exactly. But I think what's clearly very important is that the tourism and travel industry comes behind this whole movement and encourages as many people as possible to experience this incredible pavilion alongside the other pavilions which make up the whole Expo site. Dina, thank you very much for your time to talk about this, and I look forward to the other videos you and I are going to make together over the next few weeks. But thank you very much for this one. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Harold. Take care.